Once it goes up, I'll put it in the show.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to our Mentor Connection tonight. I am your host. I am DeWarn Lambert with Free2Prayz Solutions Inc. And I am one of the mentor coordinators here at Free2Prayz. And I am excited tonight to be in front of you all and having you all a part of this show. Tonight we're gonna get it started. Again, I am DeWarn Lambert, and thank you for being here with us. We welcome you all. Thank you for joining us tonight, whether you are watching on Facebook Live or YouTube. Thank you. Tonight's conversation is a little about mentoring, the real impact that mentoring have. If it's personal growth, professional growth, or life overall. Mentoring isn't just about giving advice, it's about sharing your professional developing, connecting, creating the meaningful relationships with your mentee, your mentor. And tonight, this evening, I'm going to spotlight, I believe, an incredible mentor who has committed her life, knowledge, and energy to help others. We'll have a live conversation about her journey, the challenges that she has faced as a mentor, the lessons she has learned, what mentor truly look like behind the scenes. Just an incredible conversation that we will have tonight. And I'm so excited about this incredible conversation. You can hear it in my voice. I'm stumbling, but I am truly excited about tonight. And listen, feel free to leave your comments. Feel free to share this YouTube live, share this Facebook live, drop comments. We want to respond to your comments and get your feedback. Your voice matter. We want to hear from you too. So sit back, stay energized, and let's begin the show and spotlight him. First, I'm going to tell you a little bit about me. I am a mentor myself. I mentor young people, been doing it for the last 15 years, mentoring young people in the state of Maryland, the city of Baltimore, Prince George's County. I mentor young people, not just my own kids. I mentor young people, just like I said, around the state of Maryland. And it's been an incredible opportunity to be a part of young people's lives. And believe it or not, I mentor adults too. I have some mentees as well that I sit down and have conversations with. They take some from me, I take some from them, and I have some incredible mentors myself. And one of our mentors is our great, fine CEO of Free2Prayz. She has mentored me in ministry when I've started putting my foot on ground of ministry. And I could say some of them days was a little rough trying to form sermons, how to write a sermon, how to get your scripture, and how to go from the beginning, the middle, and the end, pulling out things. So my mentors I have had has been incredible to me. And so tonight, my special guest tonight is no other than herself, Miss Treva Lambert, and she's a mentor in her own right. And we want to talk to her just a little bit tonight and ask her a couple of questions, and you all drop questions in the chat, and we can feed off of them as well, asking them questions that you want to ask her. And I am so excited to introduce to some or present to others Miss Treva Lambert, my wife. Miss Lambert, are you there?
Yes, I am here. Hi, everyone. Yes,
And-
I'm Treva Lambert. I am a mentor. I mentor teachers as well as students at my school.
Okay.
Um,
Thank you for being on our show. Thank you for accepting the invitation to be a part of this great conversation that we will have tonight. And can you just tell us a little bit about yourself and how long you've been mentoring, the profession that you work in. Um, just a little bit about yourself before we dive into our conversation and our questions on tonight.
sure. I've been a Baltimore City school educator for almost 18 years. Um, and then I decided to become a mentor. I want to say my 8th year in because I knew how it felt to be a first year teacher.
Mm,
And knowing that I didn't receive as much mentoring as I felt that was needed, it just makes me want to pour into other teachers, especially new teachers coming into this profession. And naturally, as a teacher at Baltimore City, you just happen to become mentors to students, especially now that I work with middle schoolers. A lot of them are lost, a lot of them need guidance. And so I try to keep myself open, and my students know that I keep my door open for anything that they need. And, oftentimes I feel like I'm more of a school counselor than an educator. So that's just a little snippet about me. I have a love for math. I've been a math teacher for most of my career, but I started off as an elementary teacher, working with first graders, and then I realized I like the older children. So I'm with middle school now.
okay. Thank you for sharing that little bit about yourself. And I want to dive into these questions to set the tone for the people and let the people see why you are, because our show is talking about mentoring. Why is mentoring to you, if I can ask, why is mentoring to you important?
I feel like it's important because oftentimes we don't always have the right answers. We don't always see um more than just one perspective. And I just feel like mentoring is important because it kind of helps the person see a different perspective. Especially coming into a new field like education. Every time a new educator comes in, they think that I don't know what they imagine. They just know that their kid's gonna come in, straight line, have a seat, and just ready for you.
Mhm.
And unfortunately that's not the case. Sometimes you gotta see the upside and the downside. You need strategies. Even with life, with mentoring, people need strategies because if no one needed strategies or guidance, um, then the world would be perfect. But unfortunately, we're not perfect people. And so I feel like mentoring is that place where you can like support people in ways that they may not, get on a daily basis, especially with students. Um, Schools should feel like a safe place. And so even when I like mentor students, they don't always have a mom to go to and talk to at home. They don't always have an adult that they can safely speak to or just get guidance, especially my young ladies, because I feel like all of my students watch that fighting baddies TV show. And
Okay.
so I had to tell them that's not reality. They get paid, they sign contracts. Unfortunately, you don't sign contracts, nor do you get paid to fight. So sometimes I have to just speak to them to tell them like there's a real world waiting for you on the other side. And even though you're in middle school, like I need to give you guidance now. Like you have to think before you react. And we have such reactive children. So I've just mentoring is important. Without mentoring, this world would be chaotic. Without coaching, the world would be chaotic. Without having a no offense to anyone out there, but not having a Christian based lifestyle, just knowing that there is someone always beside you, the world would be chaotic. So I just feel like mentoring or even coaching is like that stepping stone to be a person that's like able to support you and help you through the good and the bad. Mentoring sometimes won't always end up in a positive manner. Sometimes you may have to go through some trials and tribulations, even though you're receiving mentoring, because you may need strategies to even push through the situation you're going through. But I just feel like mentoring is just being there for somebody.
And
Sorry.
you mentioned that mentoring is being there for somebody, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's being there is just be there to hear them out, and it's being there to hear them out, or letting them know when they right or when they're wrong.
So it's funny that you asked that because I feel like there's different levels to mentoring.
Okay.
So for example, one person may just want you to be a listening ear.
Mm.
And so that's what you provide, a listening ear. Because they may not be ready to receive what you have to say yet.
Wow.
But being a listening ear, and then it's almost like you got to read the room. When they're ready to receive what you want to say to them, and that's when you do it. But it has to be a relationship built between you, well, the mentor and the person. And that's why I really feel like when you're mentoring, like I know the program I run, I try to match my mentors and mentees because everybody can't mentor everybody.
Ouch. And remember that gave me an ouch moment, because you're absolutely right on that. Everybody can't mentor everybody, and everybody is not, been in this game a long time of mentoring people. Everybody not fit to mentor. They're not. And I've seen it in the years I have mentored young people and mentor adults, that mentoring is not for everybody, right? Because we got to have a passion for it. What you say? Would you say that? Would you agree to that?
I do. And also, so for example, you may also have mentors that are very stern, straightforward, no censor, but you may have mentees that need that and will accept that and will grow from that. But if someone's very emotionally unstable, you don't want to be a stern or straightforward or uncensored mentor. You may want to show some empathy and kind of guide them through simplistic words and then being just a listening ear sometimes until they're stable enough to receive what you have to say. And so that's also what I meant by being able to match mentors and mentees, because the way how one person mentors may be completely different from the way another person mentors, which can be offensive to some. So like you say, it depends on the mentee that you have on how you mentor, especially with children. Children are so emotional. If you don't have a relationship with them, you cannot mentor them. You have to build a relationship first, especially build a relationship with trust, because children, I'm gonna be honest, children face more trauma than adults now. And so you have to be very sensitive and gentle to children because they face so much trauma. And it could be the littlest things that can traumatize a child. But the world we live in now, I mean, just watching TV to me is so desensitizing. But that's a whole nother conversation. But yeah.
Hey, let me ask you this question: was there someone who mentored you in your early on in your life, and how did that shape you, if they did, if you had a mentor?
Absolutely. I had plenty of mentors. For one, my sister was a mentor to me.
Okay.
Hold on one second.
Your sister was a mentor to you. Oh, okay.
I'm sorry. So, yes, my sister was a mentor to me as a very young age. And as I was growing up, high school, I watched all the things that she did wrong when she got in trouble. To me, that was mentoring because I knew not what not to do based off off of what she did wrong. Um, and then going to school, I remember my math teacher in the fifth grade. His name was Mr. Jones. I don't know if he's still out there, but if I run into him, I'm gonna hug him because he made me fall in love with math.
This is live, so he might see this.
I hope he does because he made me fall in love with math. because I didn't like math, and then I ended up loving math, and so that's how I ended up becoming a math teacher. Um, so through his teaching and him showing his excitement for learning, made me want to learn. Um, when he saw that I knew how to actually do the math, he pumped me up. So I feel like I try to do the same with my students. Like it be the smallest things, especially my hard-head boys. It be the smallest things. I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't believe you did that. And they be like, I did that, right, Miss Lambert? And I'm like, yes. And then all of a sudden, they feel like they're smart because I know this world puts a lot of our young gentlemen down. So, I try to find small moments to build them up because I knew the small moments counted with me as a child and even with me as an adult. Everybody wants to be praised every once in a while because oftentimes people will see your wrongs before they see your rights.
Mm, mm. Can you collaborate just a little bit when you said that, because people do have the tendency of pointing out so many wrongs that you do, never praise the right thing that you do. And what do you mean by that?
So that's one of my things as a mentor, especially with my mentor program. Oftentimes your evaluator will only see the wrong things you do. Your coworkers, students will call an adult out real quick. Like, you're not teaching that right. My teacher did something. So, whenever I meet with my mentees, I try to find the smallest things that you are doing correct. Because sometimes you just got to take bite-sized steps. And even with real life, you can't just turn around and just be different. You got to take small steps.
Mm,
And so, again, like I said, this world often see what you do wrong, but nobody really praises you on just the small things. Because sometimes we don't have big things that we're doing right, especially if we're in a rough spot in life. But I'm sure you're doing something right. And so I feel like as a mentor, it's really important to highlight those small things and don't just go with, oh, you did this wrong and this wrong. We got to fix this. It's not about fixing. It's about finding what's going well and how can we make it better. And that tends to, kind of
you overlook.
support people a little better. Hmm.
So I have another question for you. And one of the questions I would ask um, is what's one challenge mentors don't talk about enough? One challenge.
Um, Challenge is being a mentor.
Yes, has been a mentor.
As being a what's a couple challenges as a mentor? For one, is always finding enough time to meet with your mentee. Communication can sometimes be a challenge because again, it's almost like when you're in a relationship, you gotta know each other's love language. But it's like you gotta know each other's mentor language. I don't know how to say that, but that can sometimes be a challenge if what I'm saying to you is not being communicated in a way for you to understand where I'm coming from, or vice versa. Or if the mentee is trying to explain to me a situation and I just have a tunnel vision, then the transfer of communication between a mentor and a mentee um, can be challenging. And cause havoc. But if you keep an open communication and just say, I don't quite understand, instead of saying, oh, yeah, yeah, I get what you're saying, knowing you truly don't, um, I feel like that causes challenges. And so I feel like, again, building a relationship and just having that open set of communication between the two is important. But it takes a lot of vulnerability for that. Um, so I feel like that's like a challenge when it comes to mentoring.
Okay. Okay. Let me ask you this. Um, what's one moment that remind you why mentoring is important?
One moment. Hmm, only one?
It could be with your students or, because you're a mentor, right, to the teachers, correct?
Teachers and students.
And students. Can you break it up then, Miss Lambert? Can you tell me a moment that you had with one of your teachers that you mentor, and one moment that you have with your young people.
Oh man. So there's a teacher deficit. And with new teachers, every year someone falls through the cracks and will quit. Oftentimes I try to catch a teacher before that gets to that point. And I actually was able to talk a teacher, as I should say, like jumping off the ledge. Middle school can be tough.
It can.
And I told the teacher, you got to build relationships first. You got to let the kids know who you are and then let them know your purpose. You have high expectations for them. You just want them to win. Like you have to have that kind of classroom. They have to know that you care. Well, teacher said, I've taught before. I taught, don't want to be specific, but I taught in like a rural farmland kind of setting. Um, and so I've been teaching for about 5 years and, I'm good. But when you come to the district, your first year, you have to be in the mentor program.
Okay.
So, a month in, she said, "Oh, I can't do this because the students, they have no respect. They don't listen, blah, blah, blah." And initially I felt bad because when I walk in, I didn't want to take the power away from her because I've known the kids from elementary up until middle school. And the worst thing I can't stand is when they say, "Miss Lambert, come, Miss Lambert, come." So everybody hype and scatter. So the teacher said she wanted to quit. And I said, you know, initially in the beginning, it's going to be rough. The first month is always rough. It's rough for me. It's rough for veteran teachers. But you got to push through it. You got to stay consistent. So I told her, stay consistent. Walk around. I gave her some strategies. Walk around the clipboard. Tell them you're giving them points because they doing right. Because oftentimes what we do, we tell the kids, have a seat. You better not do that. You better stop talking. You're telling them everything not to do. Praise them for the things that they are doing right. Um, so once she started doing that, and she was surprised, middle schoolers like stickers. I said, bring a little sticker. So I gave her some stickers. I said, do a little raffle here and there. So once she started praising the students on the things they were doing correctly and started to build relationships, because now middle schools want to be buddy-buddy with you because they always want to be on your good side. But if you're always yelling at them, you start to sound like Charlie Brown. I said, so you got to do a little bit of reverse psychology. And then she says, Ms. Lambert, he was right. I had to build a relationship with these kids. And so I told her, I said, how would you feel if I always came to you and said, go to your classroom, write your lesson plan, do your work? If I always kept saying that to you, would you want to come and listen to anybody? She said, no. I said, but if I, say, oh, okay, I like the way how you did that lesson. I like how you did that. It'll make you feel good inside, right? So she decided to stay, and she's actually been teaching for quite some time now. So I told her, you get to push through it sometimes. So life is going to be rough, but once you push through, hopefully it gets better. So it got better for her. Now with a student, I can name so many situations. So just to kind of sum it up, because I can be on here all night talking about my students. It's nothing like being a teacher of girls that do all the neck rolling, getting smart, cuss a few teachers out, helping out the young boys who just play so much. They're just so playful. But when they graduate, go off to high school, and come back and say, Miss Lambert, guess what college I go to? Miss Lambert, I'm in a trucking company now. Miss Lambert, I'm going to community college right now, but once I get out of that, I'm going to switch over to Morgan. Like those moments right there. And there's so many kids that come back and visit me. That's why I said I really can't talk about one because I've seen kids, coming in rough, trauma where they done lost their dad, they lost their mom, like trauma I've never faced as an adult. And to see them lash out, but then they start to change and you watch them grow, as these little young people in 8th grade. I always cry at 8th grade graduations. And then watch them go off to high school. And when they come back to visit and say how well they're doing and they say thank you. I mean, even I told you one of my young men came back and said, tell Mr. D that I said thank you. I know he was hard on me, but I did good. If he wasn't hard on me, I wouldn't be where I'm at. I mean, the kids really do come back and say that.
That is high moments for folks. Anybody that's watching tonight, I want you to understand that's the aha moment that you all must understand as mentoring folks and also being a mentee. That's the moment that I got that phone call that made me cry, right? Because when you pour into young people or you pour into your mentor, your mentee, and you know the work that you have put in, and the work is not for you to get somebody to celebrate you, but to make sure that mentee is all right and make sure they are on the right path. That is the moment that you celebrate. And the young man that Ms. Lambert mentioned about trucking, been in his trucking business, and we have another young man, and the list do go on and on. Because I told you I've been in this mentoring game for a long time, where I have seen so many young people grow to adults. It's to the point right now, I can count on the hand how many friends I have out here in the world that I mentor, that we have concrete conversations that's worth having, conversations that's worth talking about, not only to better them, but also to better me as a person. So they are valuable conversations. I just wanted to jump in there, not to cut you off, Ms. Lambert, but I just wanted to jump in there and mention that because that's a moment that made me cry. When you see your young people on social media, and you see them do it in the grocery store, throughout your journey through the city, the state, and you like, whoa, that's my student. And they are becoming teachers. They are in college and owning their own business, and it's so much. It's a list that I can go on. And she mentioned Mr. D. That's one of my names that the young people called me when mentoring them. When I used to just go to the school and volunteer at my old elementary school, and the young people will say, "Mr. D, Mr. D, Mr. D." Everybody know that if you know me, you know me. They call me. My name is DeWarren, but it was Mr. D to them, and that has been a great journey for me to be able to. And you can see in the picture behind me, some of you all see in law enforcement, and that picture right here behind is one of the pictures. Is my go-to picture, and I tell you why that's a go-to picture for me. And I'm glad our CEO sent that off to me. It's because I was teaching a young man how to tie a tie. In that picture, we had a tie event at the school that I was working at the time, and someone taught me how to tie a tie, and that someone was my grandfather. Taught me how to tie a tie, and that has stuck with me throughout my whole entire career. So how do you? We have one of the questions. We have a question. How do you handle others giving advice to your mentee that goes against what you're trying to impact and part into them? Ms. Lambert, if you want to answer that? How do you handle others giving advice to your mentee that goes against what you are trying to impart into them?
Ooh, baby. It's funny because it happens quite often. Hold on, it depends. on who's giving the advice, because I've had a couple of scenarios where I would give my mentee advice, but the administrator decides to tell them to go a different way. And so my best response is I would have a circle with all parties, because I never want it to be where I'm going to the administrator or whomever else is giving advice and saying something, and then they go back to the mentee and say I said something completely different. So whenever I need to kind of check something, as I could say nicely, I always want all parties at the table. So you never can go to someone and say I said something different. So for example, if teacher A and advice giver B, I would want teacher A and advice giver B to all let's talk about whatever the situation is. And I would say, I told such and such to do XYZ. And I know that you might be giving her a different strategy. Can we kind of talk so we can come to a agreement on what we think the teacher or whomever you're giving advice to should actually do? Because I don't want them to be confused with us giving them two different things. I'd rather them have, like, we all have one agreement, because of course whatever you're telling them, I'm sure you're doing it for the benefit of them as well as I am too. So maybe if we put our ideas together, maybe it'll be a much better strategy, situation, or whatever type of advice it is. Or we just all come to an understanding, oh, I didn't know that's what you was trying to do, and you didn't know what I was trying to do, but we just both want to give this person whatever. It depends on the situation, but I like to bring all parties to the table because I'd rather have a circle than to have this mixed up, jumbled train line where I go back and I say something to you, you say something, and you mix up my words and I mix up your words, and then we all a hot mess.
Wow. Okay. What you say is that the question that was asked, do you believe that was one, is that one of the biggest mistakes that mentees make?
Oh, yes. Yes. Yes, sometimes, because if I'm giving you advice, I want you to try it out. But oftentimes mentees, look, they reaching out to everybody. They want to hear everybody's thoughts. So I'm gonna go to my next door neighbor and say, hey, my kid's not listening, what you think? And then I'm gonna go to my the teacher upstairs and say, hey, you know what? Such and such told me to do this, but what you think? What you think? What you think? And they're getting so many ideas poured into them, it becomes a mess. Or they say, oh, well, such and such told me to do this. And the other person's like, I wouldn't do that if I was you. And then it just causes havoc. So, mentees got to be careful too.
As a mentee, we have to, and I can tell you as a mentee, you will have people that will hate on your mentor.
Mentoring.
They will hate on you. They will hate on how you mentor that person. And that's why you have to have sound judgment on what you're going to believe and what you're not going to believe as a mentee. Because if you know that that person is really there to help you out and support you, you should be able to follow the guidance of the mentor as a mentee. And one of my mentees, and I think I mentioned it, she's the CEO. She have showed tough love to me. And I tell you why. Because when things derailing, going the opposite way, when she told me I want you to go straight, but I said, you know what? I'm gonna take the shortcut. When she already knew that going right, what was around that corner, and I'm not listening because I want to listen to everybody else. Sometimes as a mentee, we have to really block out all that loud noise and distractions. So here's another question for you, Ms. Lambert. What should someone look for in a mentor? What should someone look for in a mentor?
That's a good question. What should someone look for in a mentor that's not appointed, right? if I'm looking for a mentor, and let's say I'm a mentee and I'm looking for a mentor, first I'm gonna look at how they living. Cause I need to, and I know it sounds like a relationship, but I feel like they need to be equally yoked with me. Um, I need to see that they have similar morals and values. Um, and someone that I know can just not give me the wrong information, but be honest with me. So for example, it's a young lady named Shy. And I know if I come to her with anything, she would be very honest with me, like, I don't think you should do that. I'm gonna need you to pray about that one before you react. Read such and such or look at verse such and such. Like I need people that's gonna guide me beyond my own understanding and beyond my own thinking. So when I'm looking for a mentor for even myself, I need somebody that I know that's a little more experienced, grounded. Like I say, have morals and values equally yoked with me. Um, I know that sounds like a marriage. uh, but it's almost like a marriage. I need to be able to trust that you're gonna steer me in the right direction and not give me the wrong things. And if I'm wrong, tell me to reflect and look at myself in the mirror or something. I don't want you just to be my yes man. I don't need a hype man. I need a mentor. Um, so yeah, I think those are the things that I would look for if I was looking for a mentor.
Wow. Wow. You said a whole lot there, Miss Lambert, and looking for a mentor. You don't want nobody to go along to get along. You want people that's going to tell you when you're right and when you're wrong. You want somebody that's going to say, no, that's the wrong way. And you should be able to take that feedback from your mentor. You should be able to take advice from that mentor and not go behind the mentor back and say, hey, man, you know, such and such just told me XYZ. And this for adults too, right? And it's for young people that you mentor. I don't care if you're mentoring an adult or a young person. You want to make sure that you are giving the adult or the younger person great advice.
Can I say something else?
Go ahead, go ahead.
As a mentor, you don't have to know everything. I've said sometimes, you know what, I do not know, but I'm gonna reach out to somebody that I do know. So as a mentor, you don't always have it, and it's okay to say I don't know. I can see if I can find some resources. Maybe I can connect you with somebody that may know. But you also have to be okay with not knowing everything because I don't know everything. I tell my mentees quick, I'm not an expert at everything, but I do know some experts at some things. I know I can steer you in the right direction. So that's another thing that's kind of important too.
Well, I'm gonna piggyback off you, and for some of you all that don't know, and some of you all that do know, I am in law enforcement, but I mentor young people Monday through Friday. That's my assignment, that's my role. And sometimes when I don't have it all together or I don't have the answers, I have six other people on my squad that I can get an answer from, right? Um, Vice versa, they can get an answer from me. If I don't have, and there's one guy, Deputy Barnes, he will send out materials because I don't know if him or the rest of the squad members know that time of day where I don't have nothing to give my young people that I'm mentoring, and something will come across the email that I can teach from and um, help my young people from, or reach out to other resources that I have and help my young people, because as a mentor sometimes you don't have all the answers, and sometimes you're not going to get everything right. You're going to get some things wrong, you're going to say some wrong things, and then you have to reflect as a mentor, you have to reflect as a mentee, and don't think that your mentor is never going to get do something wrong But you have to understand that, you know what? They are not perfect people. We're just trying to make each other better. Ms. Lambert said it, it's like a relationship. Um, without being in a relationship, but it is a relationship because you have to grow to trust your mentor. And your mentor have to grow to trust the mentee. So, Ms. Lambert, I think I have one more question before we go for tonight. And we want to thank everybody for joining us again. Thank you all for joining us tonight. What one piece of encouragement for someone who feels stuck? One piece for the person that feels stuck.
Piece of encouragement for someone who feels stuck.
Yes.
Can you elaborate on stuck?
As you mentor teachers, you mentor young people, right? And your teacher, if you have a teacher to say, listen, Ms. Lambert, I don't know where my career is gonna go after this. I'm stuck. I don't know if I want to go higher or if I want to quit. How can you encourage them to push forward, press on?
Mm. Oh, that's a deep one because if I'm just mentoring anybody that feels stuck, I'm gonna have to tell them to pray on it and talk to the Lord, because me as a person, I can tell you, it won't always be like this. Start singing a song, honey. But there's only one person in this world that really knows your next steps. Because sometimes, let's say it is a job and you're trying to figure out should you go for that particular promotion or not. Um, Now, as a mentor, I would tell you, go for it. And if it's meant for you, it's meant for you. But sometimes God won't give you that promotion because they got something better waiting for you. So when you say stuck, it really depends on the situation. Just know wherever you're stuck at doesn't mean that's where you're going to stay. And it always depends on how you plant yourself and how you ground yourself. Be careful who you are around. Be careful who you ask advice from. If you feel like you have no one to ask advice from, that's when you need to go into your prayer closet and ask for advice from the most highest. Um, because everybody can't always find a mentor. And there's a lot of people out here that are stuck. And the only way to get out of that is to speak life into yourself. And the only way you can do that is by praying, talking to God, and eventually He's going to talk to you. He's going to allow you to trip and fall and get stuck in the mud. But when that rain come and that mud get a little loose, that's when you got to be ready to come up out of that. um,
No, you're right.
yeah, you just got to ground yourself and, keep positive people around you. When people start to be negative, some of that negativity will drain on you or get connected to you. And so when people I have a lot of people around me that become negative, and I give them their space. Because just like magnets, negative and positive, they attract each other. But sometimes when you're both negative, then you need to repel and step away so you can get yourself back positive. That's all I'm saying. Um, I don't know. Did I answer your question? That stuck is so vague.
Listen, you asked the question, and one thing you said, when you're in that mud, sometimes when it get loose, you got to get out of it. You got to get out of it because it'll pull you down. And
Mm-hmm.
negative, as a mentor and as a mentee, you can't listen to all that negative that's out there. You have to ground yourself and put yourself around people that are positive, that are talking positive, that see you going into the future. See, you have to understand that this might not be for me. But you talking the way you talking is not for me as either. So as we are coming to an end of our show, our Mentor Connection show tonight, I want to say thank you. Thank you all so very much for joining us tonight. And listen, I have an announcement to make. That will be a part 2 coming next week. I will have some special guests here next week that will come, and we will have a conversation with them as well. And listen, I'm excited. I want you all to get excited. Tell somebody, share this, share the link, share the live. We are coming back next week. I want to hear y'all say it. Next week. We will be back next week. I have some special guests that is going to come through next week. We're going to ask them questions about talking about mentoring. That's what we do here at Free2Prayz. We help folks. We help people. We help anybody. We don't care where you are. Our CEO love to help. And if you have a CEO or a leader that is leading the charge in helping people, you should catch on to that want to help folks. And that's what we do here at Free2Prayz. So listen, from the Free2Prayz family and from our CEO, we want to say thank you for joining us tonight. Talk to you soon. See you later. Don't forget to come back next week for part 2 of this conversation, Mentoring Connection. Thank you so much. I'm your host, DeWarren Lambert. And as always, have a good and pleasant night.